And we're live with the SP Spouse and Son. And Morgan thinks this is begging, but no, this is just a cry for attention. Please subscribe and comment. And an endorsement there, Blake 7 Red Dwarf, Vomesis and Pitcher. Right. So, you can start.
Bars. Chocolate bars are good.
Yes. Yes. And Tex-Mex.
For all the 4 people watching this video, comment if you want to play D&D with me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Actually, I have other things to do, but
yeah. Right. Yes, we actually some sad news. A day or two ago, the actor that played Blake, Gareth Thomas, died of heart failure.
Party on forever.
Right. Right. Now, when I initially heard that a Blake 7 actor died, my initial thought was, oh no, I hope it's not Paul Darrow. Because he does a lot of
I'm fine with Blake dying, that's it. Just not Avon, you know.
Yeah, but Avon's like
Master Race.
It's not just that, he does all the audio books with the sort of like half audio, half audio drama, because they have like 2 or 3 of the cast in.
So, I'm happy that last I knew William Russell played Ian in Doctor Who still around, and his voice is still awesome, even though he's much older sounding, but he's still got that awesome Ian voice, so he can do all those audio things and still sounds cool. So I'll be sad if he's not around anymore. I can't record any more of those.
I mean, if it's a choice, I mean, if the actor that's doing more stuff for your favourite programme, you know, the initial thought was, oh no, I hope it's not Darrow. Right.
Mine would have been, I hope it's not the guy in the tunnel creature costume, because it's lost.
Yeah, that would have been worthy of putting on the news. Right. All right then. So the images are not coming across yet, so I can talk about the. Oh, wait a moment. I'll give a
Wait a moment.
A quick episode summary from the spoofy book Maximum Power, which is a quote from the series, and I won't say who by. Right then, story. Following Aurak's grave foretelling the destruction of the Liberator. That's not true, because he actually said space vehicle will be destroyed. They only assumed it would be the Liberator. The ship is attacked by alien race, no, species who built it. Then blocks all attempts to escape and the ship becomes hostile. It takes the crew back to the alien space station where they are taken prisoner. No prizes for guessing they escape, but they are pursued by the Liberator's sister ship, which was the one that Aurak predicted. Oh, here we go. Which one was it that Aurak predicted would be destroyed? Well, he said space vehicle would be destroyed. Now, before I go into the funny bits, I have some TI logic for you, and then also some speculation. So, here's the TI logic. There's a sequence where Blake asks Aurak, why won't you give us the background to that prediction? You know, of the ship being destroyed. And then Aurak says, because that would invalidate the prediction. And then Blake says, and if we knew the future in detail, we could change it, and so it wouldn't be the future. And Aurak says, correct. That is the paradox of prediction. But the point is, if Aurak knew that the Liberator was going to be blown up, he would also get blown up, and therefore he would not want that to happen, and he would tell Blake how to change the future. So the fact that he won't tell Blake how to change the future shows that it's not the Liberator.
But that's on the assumption that Aurak cares, and that he doesn't help in some other place somewhere else. Because you don't know really his capability at that point.
Yeah, that's true at that point. So, it's selfish, so is Aurak. Because it's the same percentage and sort of. I mean, you have to say
Like, for
that
instance,
Aurak-
now
Aurak is
when
the brain,
Aurak has eaten Ben's mic,
and is it my mic? Oh no, I sound off funny. Oh, peculiar.
you turn into Cyberman.
When what?
Even less understandable Cyberman.
Well, at the moment. Oh, I'll try and shut some stuff there. Seems to. I think I know what. The ones that we met.
Oh, dear.
On Facebook Messenger. Oh,
Yeah, it's
there.
getting worse. Can't understand a word.
How about now? How about now?
I understood that one line. Say some more stuff.
More stuff. Okay, so
Yeah, that's much better.
here we go. That's what I've written here. Aurak would want to change the future if it involved him being destroyed with the Liberator. Aurak knows it's a sister ship which is destroyed. That is why he does not want the future changed. He also knows that the future will let him get closer to the system to drain information from it. And another thing, he can only make the prediction if he knows about the system. Now, those are... And then there's something here about a real Avon would have made the point to Aurak. You know, when he said that he won't tell him about the prediction, he would have gone at him about, Aurak, would you rather be right and dead or alive and tell us how to get out of this and prove your prediction wrong? He would have made that point. But the thing that he worked in, Nation, is that, and I put here, Avon is complacent because all he thinks about is that they have to stay away from that star location that's on the other side of the galaxy. What else? Now those were the facts, and now for the supposition. This is based on a fact as well. In the previous episode, Aurak, do you remember how Aurak took control of the Liberator when they approached the Aristo planet? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Right. So Aurak took control of the Liberator in the previous episode. So he probably could have taken control of the system's 2 ships that followed him because they're the same design.
Yeah.
Had he wanted.
Right.
Right. And at the end, he was able enough to destroy the sister ship, but he didn't destroy the 2 ships that were following him initially.
Right, because he got to the system and then he was preoccupied when he actually got to the rest of the system instead of doing what Blake wanted him to because he was draining all the information from the system. Great conspiracy that matters so much to my life.
So I guess you could say he didn't give 2 ships about
it. Yeah. But Aurak is... It's like Enneagram 5 in a box. He's obsessed by gathering information.
You just frame that and put it up on your thing.
Right.
Try to sell it.
Right. Here we go. Conclusion.
For $29.95.
Right, okay, here we go. Conclusion. This is the last bit of it. Aurak is probably engineering events because he is an electronic brain based on Ensor who was somewhat selfish. He also wants to be the best computer with no rivals. And another thing that Aurak gets out of this, because you remember initially it was like, oh, what a pile of junk, what's the point of this thing? Aurak thus demonstrates to the crew how useful he is because he solves the situation at the end, but a situation that he probably engineered. So, that's enough of the fan theory. Well, my theory. Well, partly mine, but I added new logic. So, what do you think of the story?
I don't remember. What happened again?
Yeah, have you done your summary yet?
Yes.
Seemed like he did or
I
started
could do.
with it, but then he
I could do the
kind of
bigger summary. I can do a bigger summary. I can do a bigger summary to remind you. Right, here we go. A bigger summary, and then if that one doesn't work, there's an even bigger one in this third book. Right. Okay. To fully remind Jeff, let's do the big one. Let's do the Blade 7 guide. This one. Right, here we go. The official guide. I think it's official.
There were some blue chicks. They were kind of robotic, and then there were...
My summary.
Okay, all right. I haven't finished mine though.
Blake existed. And then they were attacked by some ships. And then they could not run the ships, and all their stuff got shot. And then the ship started going crazy, attempting not to let them fix anything. And then they flew to way across the galaxy under the ship's control as opposed to their own. And then the people who designed the ship were controlling it the whole time, and they took them on board. They captured them as opposed to killing them, so they could kill them later. And then in their mild interrogation of Blake before they were about to kill him too, and then they all broke out because Orac was messing with their systems, and random slave dudes had already broken out and were helping them by actually having aim and therefore being able to beat all the guards. And then they got out, and then Orac exploded the other ship because he can do everything. Summary.
Yeah.
Done. Boom.
Yeah. In fact, that was one of the things that Chris Boucher talked about as a problem, is trying to engineer different situations where Orac wasn't able to easily solve a solution.
Solve a solution?
Solve a problem. You're right. I messed up there. Thanks for pointing that out. Right. Oh, there now it's...
That's easy. Throw them into the sun. I can't really do much about that.
What?
That's weird.
It is weird. Like, so weird, man. What's up with that?
That's
Crazy.
weird.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's weird.
What's going on
There's
there?
an echo in here.
Super duper weird.
Super duper. Super duper. How did it end up in... Oh, never mind.
How did what end up in what?
Never mind.
Oh, it's a games thingy. Right.
Oh, what?
A games thingy.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you're asking how they ended up in what? What are you asking, Jeff?
No, I'm tired. I'm just saying things I don't know.
Okay. So when you get tired, you go redneck. Is that it?
Redneck?
No.
What did I say that was redneck?
No, it was just the accent change. Right.
It wasn't a
He
redneck
founded
accent.
you redneck, apparently.
I think you got a different definition of redneck over...
Yeah, I
islands.
I should have said, well, if you tell me the word for when somebody has, okay, for what a, oh, I don't know, we'll talk about this off air, but for the moment,
Whatever, man.
For the moment, this is a little bit random, but you might find it funny.
Yeah, I guess. Like a mug.
Most common street crimes: vandalism, muggings, joyriding, and witchcraft.
That witchcraft. It's witchcraft.
Oh no, maybe it's gonna get taken down now.
No, it won't happen.
Right, so which two things have been combined in this image?
I don't know. I can't see it.
Can you see Morgan?
No.
You asked me?
I can see Morgan, yes. I can't see your image.
Yeah.
So you tell me.
It is Che Guevara and Bernie Sanders combined into one image. Right. So
Was that halfway through the Blake 7 episode? I don't remember that scene.
no, it was just in the fire. I just thought, oh, it'll be a quick thing.
You were just like,
Yeah.
just throw in this random thing.
Yeah. Look, they had the shot off the top of the set. So, what did I like the fact how the pursuit ships were the same design as the Liberator in terms of like this back portion. So you could tell it was like of the same range, I suppose. And then you got all this dirty film going on with this model shot. I don't know what's going on there.
When I was wee and I was caught breaking the law, my dad would have me beating 7 types of bahula out of me.
No, and this is when he says Villa. For some reason, he does the massive spit.
Yeah, I liked that. Like, I remember thinking this, that was some commitment to the part.
Yeah.
And by everybody, including the director, because it could have been like, no, I'll do that over again without the spit. But, like, because you don't see that many characters spit on television, unless it's like for dramatic effect, like, oh, somebody spits in somebody's face or something. But, there's far less spitting than happens in life.
Right, so we'll take note of how many, because usually what happens is a lot of these go missing during a series.
There's a lot of what go missing?
These are the bracelets, the teleport bracelets. Okay. And I think by the end of the last series, there was like 4 or 5 left.
Anyway, the actor we just lost, that just shows you what he, his commitment to his craft, that he was, spitting at people even if it wasn't in the script.
Yeah,
kind of dedication that he had to
yeah. Yeah, that can happen. So yeah, that was good. And I'm glad they the director didn't say, "Oh, you just spitted, just spat, stop that." But right. So she was in Genesis of the Daleks towards the end.
The blue alien chicks, like, they wasted those outfits on those. There's some previous characters they had that they should have put in those outfits.
Yeah, I mean, Jenna would have looked better in one of those outfits. Hey, Jeff.
Sarah, yeah.
And Jenna.
Yeah. And what's her face? That other chick that was on the thing that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, her.
Oh yeah, one of the ones. Oh yeah, a couple of them in Jewel, Carol Royal and Isla Fisher.
He actually tried to find something out of that.
I don't know who that is, but yeah. Anyway, peoples.
So how many did you give it out of 10, Jeff?
I guess 4.
Well, at least it's not 2.5.
Yeah, it's almost twice 2.5.
Morgan, what do you give it?
He gave it a shrug.
Oh.
Can't be bothered to come up with number. Yeah. The finale of the last season, or the second to last episode, was sort of the peak so far, I think, and then the last one was still pretty good, but it kind of dropped a little bit. And this one, it just sort of some stuff happened, but it kind of like they were trying to make it all dramatic, but it just wasn't as. It wasn't as something word that means like ability to build the suspense in like a convincing way. And, it was like pretty much just kind of wandering around or doing stuff with people saying things, and I'm too tired to come up with words that make sense. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's
I'm kind of
okay.
like you were yesterday or the day before, whenever that was, when
Yeah.
when we did the last homicide video.
Yeah. I tamed into Colonel K.
Yeah. No, it's like every time I start talking about it, I can't remember what actually happened. So it's not a good sign when I can't remember it.
Okay,
I
actually, what
remember the scene that they were in the place where Avon was like, "Look outside, it's the stars I saw," and I was like, "Yeah, because you definitely would have been in a cell that had a view of that exact direction where those stars were visible." That was convenient.
Yep.
And then, yeah, as soon as the ship took off, I was like, yeah, they showed the ship blowing up, but they didn't say it was them. So I'm like, then I knew what was going to happen.
I've got a story about this. So all of these scenes in this big place were at a nuclear power station that was active at the time. And in the documentary for season 2, they talked about how some of them got some radiation on them, some of the cast and/or crew, because that, especially that area behind that big door, was radioactive.
Well, that's the risk you take when you get involved in a Terry Nation show. There's going to be radiation involved.
Real radiation.
That's the dedication that Terry Nation had to his craft, was infecting the cast with real radiation. And then, oh yeah, the great scene with the Cord trying to attack Blake. So it's like, the original appearance of the Daleks when it's like some dude waving a plunger at Barbara, and she does an awesome scream in response to having a plunger waved at her. And in this scene, you have the aforementioned Mr. Thomas, the late Mr. Thomas, with his great performance of managing to keep a straight face while somebody waved a hose at him for several minutes.
So what they actually said in the book, in the comedy book, a wire on a wire. That the wire hung up by wires.
Comedy book.
All the spoof book, maximum power.
Comedies in quotation marks.
You've laughed at some bits from this book. Not many, but some.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I said at the time I was watching it, I'd like to see the outtakes of that scene. See how many times they had to do it before he could get through it without laughing.
As I said when I was watching it, I already knew what the shit was gonna happen when they
Yeah, I just said
the
that.
ship
Yeah.
was the V2 or something. I was like, so there's at least like one other one. You already informed him of my awesomeness?
No, I was talking about me.
Oh, I was talking about me. See, that's the point.
Yeah, I think she said SV2, which immediately made me think of the Robots of Death, and I was like, oh, that would be the ultimate twist if suddenly they came in through the door, like there was the Robots of Death, and be like, oh yeah. What?
And I was like, so there's at least one more of the ship. So boom, that one blows up, and I already knew the rest of the story.
Was that when you saw?
And he also called when the dude was like, "I'll stay behind." And he's like, "What? To get shot?" And he gets shot like 2 seconds later.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and this is all on. This has been recorded, folks, in an unlisted video of the commentary, so it is there. If you don't want to.
Yeah, where I make great jokes like, "Blake, I think you might want to come down here. The entire teleport room is on film."
Yeah.
Words to that effect. Because the bridge was in the studio, and then for a while there, the rest of the ship was on film. So.
Wow. Depends whether or not got room or not. Yeah,
every time they went anywhere else in the ship, they were on film. But then back to the bridge, we're back on video again.
Yep. Right.
What's really good is that, like, Callie, when she was on the film scenes, like, she didn't have her haircut anymore, and it went back and forth, like her hair got shorter or longer, depending. Because I've seen shows where that was the case before, because like they did the film scenes like you said first, and then like changed something subtly that then when they did the video you didn't know you noticed it, you know. So like something was wrong in their outfit or the hair or something like that. There were some Doctor Who things like that where they didn't correct it, or they changed something and hope no one would notice. There was one of the best ones was Claws of Axos, where on the text on the screen it tells you that like when they filmed, they had to go back and refilm some scenes, but they were supposed to take place like right after the other ones, but like it had been one of the times it was like snowing, and the other time it was like bright sunshine or something. So they added a thing to the show where they had somebody talking about the freak weather conditions caused by the like they added it because that they kept having to film stuff and the weather was different, so they were like, well, we'll just explain it as freak weather conditions.
And I bet that maybe when the director heard that, I thought, genius! I'm going to use that every time now.
This is where I see that Simpsons episode where they have
it's like
Lucy Lawless on there, and it's like asking about something that was some inconsistency between episodes, and she's like, yeah, whenever you see something like that, a wizard did it.
It's like it's a nightmare if you got people smoking, or you got the length of the cigarette will change, or the amount of drink that's in a glass can go up and down. But you know, if they shot it with 2 or 3 cameras at the same time, they wouldn't have that problem. Rather than shooting it single camera.
So
and of course,
better funded, they'd be better.
I mean, it took them ages before someone had the bright idea, and I was banging on it for ages, and they thought I was trolling them when I once said on the Doctor Who forum, why don't you use multiple cameras? And then when they did Battlestar Galactica, they came up with this new thing of, let's use 2 cameras so we can get this thing shot quicker.
Well, a lot of shows use multiple cameras.
Yeah, because they've got the brains on these days. It's just that for ages it was like...
And even back in the day, like soap operas used multiple cameras.
Yeah, because they had a bigger time.
They didn't move them. Because the whole thing was like they did it almost like it was a play. So the only way they could change anything was to switch cameras. So that's why you had to, you know, if there was like a character had to make a costume change, then they had to go do it really fast off stage and then come back and, you know, I remember reading about the Doctor Who ones where it was like they couldn't afford to edit, like it was too expensive.
Yeah.
And so they would actually like they would record it like in one long thing, and they would only do a break in the recording if they absolutely had to.
Oh, I don't think it was about expensive for that. What it was is they had to physically cut the tape 5 times, the magnetic tape, and join it together. So it would be like if you were...
Well, right, but that's expensive because if you lost anything, and then also having to pay the person who does that for extra time and stuff. So it's already talked about how the actors, like there were times where, you know, the actors union or whatever would be like, you have until this time, and then at that the actors leave.
Oh yeah, there was like that for all of them. And they had rules about sometimes if they went into overtime, they had to negotiate it.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is what I was saying about it was so hard to direct Doctor Who, where you had to like you have like 2.5 hours studio time to get it all done. Like say that one episode, and it's like just amazing pressure.
My experience in directing, you know, it doesn't go much beyond high school, but still, I know how difficult it is to like wrangle the actors. You know, get everybody in where they're supposed to be at the right time, and get everybody on the same page.
And with a stage play, you have months and months of preparation, so that everyone knows what they're doing.
When you don't.
That's true. Although I remember when I did mine school play, we had about 13 weeks preparation.
I never had one with that much time.
But you see, what happened, Jeff, in that situation is our two teachers that were doing it were coming up towards retirement, and it was like their 22nd production. And it was only once I read this book called Directing Actors by Judith Weston, I realised how subtly they directed us. Just they would have picked it up from 20 years of directing 17-year-olds in school plays. Right, dead air. Okay. Right. So, Morgan, what did you think of it?
He left the room.
Okay. Actions speak louder than words. Right, because we assume he's not got a weak bladder at his age. Right.
No, his room, I think he got called on Skype or something.
Fair enough. Right, so the files have not transferred. Wait a minute, they have transferred, I think. This is weird. Now they've transferred. It was just a massive delay. Or was it a delay? Is that? Which one's that? Now it's turned up. Right, so we'll just quickly go through this. What I can say, Jeff, is that the next few stories, or the second and third story, are written by, drumroll, Chris Boucher. And so you get a bit more characterization. And there'll probably be more to your liking, the next two.
That reminds me of something I was going to tell you, because I told you they added stuff on the Audibles that was like Big Finish stuff.
Yep.
And there's a audiobook, Fourth Doctor audiobook written by Chris Boucher on there called Corpse Marker.
Yes, that's the first one that eventually becomes Cawdor City. That's right. I think that came out in about 1999, Corpse Marker.
Well, they just added it to Audible, so I'll probably listen to it at some point.
Yeah, because I think that's the direct sequel or prequel, probably the prequel to Robots of Death. You see, I think when he wrote Robots of Death, he was already over 30, Chris Boucher. So,
if you hadn't told me that was how his name said, I would have thought it was Chris Boucher. Because it looks like a French name.
Now, what's slightly... Now, Terry Nation likes coming up... It's terrible. He likes reusing plot elements. I don't mind that. Like, you probably notice some similar elements between... but there's an actor called Brian Croucher. So sometimes I get them mixed up. Chris Boucher and Brian Croucher. And so you can end up...
Understandable.
So you can end up saying Brian Boucher and Chris Croucher.
Like I got mixed up when I first heard that Stephen Moffat was taking over Doctor Who or writing for Doctor Who, because there was a Peter Moffat that was also involved in Doctor Who. So I was thinking it was that guy, but it wasn't the same guy.
I mean, I think that when you're naming your characters, make them sound as different as possible. Oh, I got a question for you, Jeff. You might know about this. Have they got on certain sitcoms like a big book of these names have been used before? Try and use different ones.
I don't know, but what I was gonna say is that you notice there's even like soap operas that have a ton of characters. They very rarely repeat the same first names because they don't want people to get confused.
Exactly.
Even something as common as like John, they try to avoid there being multiple Johns. I mean, at most like two. And if they have more than one of the same first name, then one of them will like go by their last name. Like that's what everybody calls them. So. And
that becomes an issue in one of the Blake 7 stories. I won't say what the name is. Two of them have got the same first flipping name, so they call them by their surname.
Yeah. But I mean, that's they already like they call Avon, and that's his last name, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's Kerr Avon, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah.
Right then. All right. I'll ask you because you got a good knowledge of Doctor Who. Do you remember? So, did you notice any similarities with Death to the Daleks?
Not particularly.
Okay, I'll jog your memory. Apparently, in Death to the Daleks, in fact, I'll read it out from the book because it mentions it a little bit in the Liberation book. The book that's probably been written by two N-types. Right, here we go. A little paragraph. This episode is very reminiscent of Nation's Doctor Who story, Death to the Daleks, which also featured a living city guarded by mechanical serpents, which rejected its inhabitants, as in the events on the Liberator in this episode. The slave is reminiscent of the Death to the Daleks character, Bilal, who similarly hides in places that his oppressors do not know about. Both stories have a heavy... Here we go, this is where it goes in. Both stories have a heavy Freudian element, in this case involving a scenario of dominant women ruling an army of symbolically castrated men who wield long, phallic, purple-lit weapons.
Somebody with too much time on their hands right there.
Yeah, I mean there's good stuff. That anyway, we talked about that. But now we can get over to the funny book, the somewhat funny book.
Not to say you have a funny book.
Yeah, it's maximum power. It's a massive in-joke, this book. So here, you might like this joke, this initial joke in the guest stars.
Which is?
Well, that Roy Evans played the altar boy. So you've got altar 1, altar 2, and altar boy.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah,
no,
you'll have to read them. I can't see it, so.
Oh right, okay. What more? Oh, how come?
Because I can't see it.
Oh, I thought Morgan had left the room.
He did.
Oh, are you playing your game at the moment?
No.
I don't mind if. Okay. Oh, okay. You can't see it. How come you can't see it?
Because it's not on my screen.
Oh, what are you multitasking with?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Just,
you mean it's just not appeared? Okay. I'll try again.
Just get on with it and say the things. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I'll get.
I can't see it.
Okay. I was just wondering why you couldn't see it. So it's just black on your end. Okay. Right. Okay. Guest stars: Sheila Ruskin as Altar 1, Harriet Philpin, Altar 2, Roy Evans, Altar Boy. No, he played the slave. Opening shot, a couple of pages from Astronomy Now. You just described the story. Blake, all right, Zen, stand by to run it again at half speed. And then it's got Z, so they probably thought it was quite boring. Random insult. Villa, I've got this shocking pain. Oh, yeah, before that it says, could you ask Zen to prescribe something for a headache? I've got a shocking pain right behind the eyes. And then Avon says, have you considered amputation? Right, and then we got here, in a nutshell, can we have our green pulsating ball back, please? Right, because that's the end of the...
kind of like you were saying in Nearer, My God, to the... that you didn't think the humor was quite up to the par of the past ones. That's kind of how I felt about that, like, that exchange with, like, Avon and Squirrely, like, they'd had better exchanges before. That one kind of fell flat.
Oh, with the considered amputation?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I see that as, that's not funny. It's clever, but it's not funny.
I don't really think it's clever either.
Okay, ish. Right. But yeah, the next two, Jeff. Woohoo! Chris Boucher. The first two stories not written by Terry Nation. Right.
So in this one, they all wear blue outfits and spin around in circles.
Well, two of them do. Who got it? Olag started wearing his pregnancy gown. It's sort of true.
Who?
Olag Gan, the guy that only had about three lines in the whole thing, like Callie.
Okay, so he's another one they call by his last name?
No, they actually called him. Yeah, they called. That's right, Jeff. They call him by his last name.
Yeah, because I never heard anybody call him anything but Gan, so.
That's right, yeah. There's more shooting off the top of the set when Rog has a chat with Aurak. I think, look, what they've done for this one is they've just used the first names, just to freshen things up. Kerr hides from Rog on the flight deck. Where on the flight? Oh, yeah, because he never saw him. Rog and Kerr do their slow-mo through a spaceship exploding bit, exactly like they did one here we go. Avon's analogy about predictions being akin to standing on the cliff edge has a beautiful logic. He then chucks it all away by saying, if you choose not to stand there in the first place, it would not matter. Right, Olag and Rog stare 2 channels on a pair of headphones like lovers. Callie doesn't speak for the first 8 minutes. I think that's probably true. We like how Villarestal's job on the flight deck is to fire the guns like a child with a spud shooter.
And the lounge area I talked about multiple times before was expanded again in this one. This was the first time I can remember that they actually showed it from the angle where you could see all of that and the people behind it. So it moved over.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of the directors want to shoot. I don't. Why they put a table in there with sort of like garden chairs? I don't know. When they could have just done it in the lounge area, rather than have those garden chairs there. That was weird. We get to see a lot more of the Liberator in this episode, even though it's mostly just passageways and struts. It's all bloody cool. The differing film video stock used for each section of the ship only adds to the effect. Yeah. There's a mysterious dining room set in the main control room which only appears when needed. The designs for the super duper beings, their hand weapons, pursuit ships, space station is superb. Just beautiful. Their costumes, not so much. So what did you think of their costumes? Oh, I think you said they're good, but not on those 2 chicks.
Whose costumes?
The chicks' costumes. The 2 chicks in blue. Lycra.
Yeah, they reminded me of pajamas when I was a kid.
Well, the costume designer, June Hudson, I think it was, said that was a new material at the time. And that she used it before they used it in America. Just before they used it on Colonel Deering in Buck Rogers. But Erin Gray had better hips than those 2 now.
Yeah, that's probably true.
She had an amazing waist to hip ratio. Terry has a habit of writing his episodes with 25 minutes of chatting on the Liberator and 25 minutes of actual plot. In his head, he's writing Doctor Who 2-parters. Nice to see Daft Punk turn up on the System space station. We recommend 2001's Discovery. Ooh, the Alters are wearing teleport bracelets. Rog is attacked by an electrical wire. It's a bit like Death to the Daleks by Terry Nation. The wire is held up on wires. Rog says redemption just to get the title of the episode into the script. When Alter One tells Rog that asking questions is not permitted, he asks several anyway and gets very detailed answers. We reckon Chris Brown...
like they forgot to punish him like 2 different times for talking after they told him they punished him the first time, but then he talked again, and then by the time they punished him again, they should have owed him like 3 of those.
I think what happened though, it was Betan that said it, and then when she answers it, the other one gives her a look. Like Betan gives her a look. You know, the one with the shorter hair. Because I think it was the one with the shorter hair, played by Harriet Philpenny, is the one that was early on, who towed more of a hard line with no questions, you won't speak, all that kind of stuff. So we reckon Chris Boucher nicked the circular things on the forehead for Death Watch. Death Watch is an episode that I think you'll like a lot, Jeff. Death Watch. That's all I'll say about it.
Is that
It's
the
in.
next one?
No. It's in season 3. It's a crisp.
Oh.
Yeah, but the next
Well,
2
look,
episodes.
I ain't getting real far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, but it is good. And the next 2 episodes are written by Chris Boucher. When Kerr says to Stannis, "You're looking at it," that's true. Do you remember that she said you're looking at the stuff? She wasn't looking at it. The director should have stepped in there.
Who wasn't looking at what?
Jenna wasn't looking at the star patterns.
Oh.
And Avon says you're looking at it, and she wasn't. Another big fat door.
Well, and maybe in his mind she was.
Alright, now I forgot to look at this bit
He was
here.
talking about himself in the second person.
Yeah. There was one weird thing that happened was generally I get the impression that Blake and Jenna don't get on that well, and they were sat very near to each other in the cell, almost touching each other. They sat right next to each other. Oh yeah, it's the same big fat door as in Time Squad. They filmed it in the same power station, and it turns up again in Killer. That's right, it does. That's an episode written by Robert Holmes, Jeff, and it has a good line in it. Do you want me to tell you the line, or would you consider that a spoiler?
Yeah,
I won't tell you it.
You can wait till whatever.
Yeah. No. Right. Even though they all escape together, Roger and Stannis get to the flight deck by a different corridor to Kerr and Restal and arrive a few seconds after them. What were they up to? If you have the DVD handy, spin forward to 44 minutes 51 seconds. There's a really odd shot of a control panel with numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 written across the bottom. It looks like someone has tried to turn them into weird space age numbers with a felt tip. The sister ship gag at the end works rather well. I suppose so. Yep. The episode ends with Rog setting course for Earth Sector. Okay. In Terry Nation's next script. Okay, I won't say that. You didn't see it, did you? Because you not got it on the screen. Right, good. I won't go over that bit because you don't like any kind of minimal spoilers. Right, the closing titles on the BBC video compilation release incorrectly credited John Nathan Turner as producer. That may or may not be true because sometimes they put in lies in this book. Right. Closing shot. Blake moonfaces up at the camera. Look at him. He's a man of action. Right. Delightful dialogue. They've only got a short entry for this episode. Blake. Avon. Concentrate on Zen. Avon. Blake says, Avon, concentrate on Zen. Give priority to the detectors and the navigation systems. Then I want you to see if you can get us some scans. Avon, is that all? What should I do with the other hand? Amateur hour. The Liberator takeoff shot, and you noticed this on commentary. I think Morgan may have instead of, or both at the same time. The Liberator takeoff shot is achieved by playing a shot of an aeroplane landing in reverse. Well, I thought that was quite good to do that on the cheap, like a nighttime landing. Accidentally or otherwise, when the first explosion flows Blake and Avon to the ground, Avon puts his arm around Blake. Not really, it just goes over the back of his neck. Redemption is one of those episodes when the director remembered to add background noise to the Liberator interior shots because we're not used to it. It's horribly distracting. The effect of the Liberator flying so fast that the stars whiz by is almost Tom and Jerry like. Alright then, the next, the end of this bit. Paper cutout planets. I'm not so sure about that. There's absolutely no consistency between model shots of the Liberator. In some scenes it's white with a green orb, in others it's almost metallic. Then there's that bloody photographic blow-up rushing towards the camera again. Yeah, I don't like that. With 5 control stations full of knobs and buttons. Couldn't the Liberator's builders have put the force wall and internal comms controls on them somewhere? It's a bit of a faff having to run over to the comfy chairs every time you have to stop a missile or chat with Gan when he's gone for a stroll. This story breaks all previous records for amateur hour entries. Additional scraps of knowledge. Planets, not really.
Did you say faff?
Yeah, I thought that was well phrased. It's a bit of a faff having to run over to the comfy chairs every time you want to stop. A bit of a pain. It's a bit of a faff. Or if someone's messing around, like if someone like me is like taking their time, it says, Ben, you're faffing around. Get on with it.
Funny, because I've only heard faff in one context before, and it didn't mean anything close to that. So.
Okay. So I like the way that was phrased. It's a bit of a faff having to run over to the comfy chairs every time you want to stop a missile or chat with Gavin when he's gone for sure. Well, maybe on the original crew had that extra member near that crap computer, which is one of the worst props. One of the worst. I hate that thing. That it looks like it's made out of cardboard with buttons stuck on it.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
It's the computer that Avon uses near the comfy chairs. Right.
Avon uses near the comfy chair.
Well, I might have it in here somewhere. I mean, but the other ones haven't come across. But it might be on here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. That's from. Here it is. This thing. That. I don't like that. It gets it's not as good as the, especially when they go on film. The props, the props for like the equipment that they interact with is a lot better when it's shot on film, and I think that's because it was done at Ealing Film Studios, and the set builders were better because they were building sets for films. Everything just looks. An actor's dream. What better sets? Okay. Right. I've done the short tribute to Gareth Thomas. May he rest in peace. I've gone through the maximum power thing. I went through the conspiracy theory about Aurak. We've got the marks out of 10 from Jeff. 4 out of 10. At least it wasn't 2.5. And not able to show a load of images for this one because there was a cock up with the Dropbox, but there you go. It's my fault for starting late because I fell asleep in the early evening. I got cream crackered. I mean, Jeff's probably at the cream crackered stage as well. Right, next two really good. So tomorrow, folks, we will be doing. Oh, that's a completely different audience, so you're probably not interested. But we're doing Homicide Life on the Street tomorrow. So, any closing thoughts? The SP Spaz? Right, he's turned his mic off. So, okay, what I'll do is let's see if any of those images have transported over. Nope. I wonder if it's because it's run out of space. Oh well, what I'll probably do is, I think we've covered everything. Oh, I can show you the Liberator model, which has the green orb. Now, this was designed by Roger Murray Leach, one of a very good Doctor Who designer, who won, I think he won an Academy Award for. I think he did win an Academy Award, didn't he? Roger Murray Leach. The Liberator. So I'll probably move it across more stable than they do in the program where it wobbles all over the place because it didn't use motion control. So yes, Jeff, any final words?
Crackers and cream.
Right. I'm cream crackered and Jeff is so cream crackered, he's saying crackered and cream. That's how cream crackered is. Right, so it's goodbye from me.
Bye.
Right.